I've seen the book. Yeah, it's a beautiful done book. Yeah. So we have copies here. We have a very special guest with us today. Some of you know him, some of you may not. His name is Dr. Louis Patsavos, the former professor of canon law here at Holy Cross, very distinguished professor, and a person who continues to contribute to the life of the church by giving his professional opinion about canonical issues. Priests call him, lay people call him, looking for his advice to this very day. And we very much appreciate the fact that with everything else he has to do, he's been a major supporter of St. Catherine's vision. So let me kind of read the dedication. The book is dedicated to him. Louis Patsavos, Professor Emeritus of Canon Law, Holy Cross, Greek Orthodox School of Theology, Archon of the Great Church of Christ, corporate board member, faithful supporter of St. Catherine's vision, whose prayers and wisdom better enable us to discern and cultivate our charism. So we want to congratulate Dr. Patsavos because of all his interest and concern for St. Catherine's vision, and the very fact that you're here today with us is a sign of that dedication. So thank you very much, Louis.
Thank you.
I want to thank all of you for being here. This is, I agree, a beautiful book. And every saint on the front is featured inside inside the book. So this is a wonderful, unique icon that's never been written before because of the saints in our book designated how the cover was to be laid out. Our book is the third in a series of 3 that Holy Cross has agreed to help us publish, and I am excited to get your feedback. It is written collaboratively and with great attention to both spiritual accountability to Christ and one another as we were writing this, as well as academic accountability. And so we hope this has been a discipline from the beginning for St. Catherine's Vision, that you will see this in this volume as well. While we're here, I'd like to introduce you to a couple of people that have changed their schedules just to come here, that have been part of our process. We have a couple of authors and at least one collaborator. By the way, I wrote on Saint Xenia of Rome, a 5th century woman who left home with 2 of her servants to find and serve Christ someplace in the unknown, rather than be forced into a marriage where she would be a happy Christian perhaps, but not as happy as she was as her story relates. So you must get the book to read the whole story. Okay.
I want to tell you how exciting it was to collaborate with these women and to go over our writings together. So it was not just we were isolated in a room and writing on our own. So we all together did our chapters. My first was St. Mary Magdalene. The second one was St. Anna from the Testament from Luke, St. Luke's Testament with Simeon. And the third one, and I'm so excited, is a 19th century convert to Orthodoxy, Grand Duchess Elizabeth from Russia, who was also a royal. She was from the royal family. Her sister was Alexandra Romanov. And the couple of things about Grand Duchess Elizabeth that really spoke to my soul was, one, she was a convert and she bridged the East with the West during her life. The second and the most important thing is that she was a chaplain. And after her husband died, she opened a convent. She was a nun. She became a nun. And in that, she had a whole complex of buildings, and one was a hospital. And she took care of the soldiers. Of course, it was during the Bolshevik Revolution, 1917. And she took care of the soldiers, the children that were starving. And she was what can I say? She was a Renaissance woman.
As it says on the title, stretching the boundaries of forgiveness. forgiveness is something very difficult thing to do, because when you forgive somebody, you ultimately make yourself vulnerable. And the process that I went through was very much also healing, because as I wrote down the story the way I perceived it, which is about Saint Marina, who was known, Marinus the monk, very controversial story in a sense, because she was a female, but she joined with her father a male monastery when she was very young, because she had lost her mother. And later on she was accused in impregnating a woman, and she was kicked out of the monastery because of that, and she suffered 10 years or more until finally she found forgiveness to return to the monastery, and her mystery was revealed only after her death. As Nikki said, it's a collaborative working together, helping each other, discussing with one another, and also the most important aspect, which is kind of the main line in all three volumes, it's not the life of the saint as it was, but it's the life of the saint, how it touches your life, how it makes sense to you. And the reason I wrote this was kind of an accidental thing, why I chose it. I used to drive to work long distances and listen to stories of the saints and other spiritual literature. And when I heard it, I felt like this story was about me. And I immediately contacted Dr. Fitzgerald, and I said, I'll choose Marinus if I can. And that's what happened. And it became, most importantly, a healing process for me to go through and tell my story one more time through the saint's life. Thank you.
I'd like to congratulate Dr. Kyriaki, first of all, and all the collaborators for the effort, the support of Father Tom. It is a tremendous undergoing that I was exposed to my first semester at the seminary now 5 years ago. And it was inspirational to me throughout my time at seminary to see the work done by St. Catherine's Vision, which I wish was more well known in the Orthodox world, because it's such a gem that I was fortunate to be exposed to. The work done by the collaborators was intensive. It was over the course of at least 5 years. I'm sure it started before we even came to Boston. And it encouraged me to apply myself even further to academia at the seminary, to the spiritual life at the seminary, because it touched on a portion that Nikki and Father Anthony had mentioned, in that it enlivens part of our faith that sometimes we don't often connect to. And for me and my wife, we'll say that we grew up in a place where the saints were those people over there, and we looked up to them, but we didn't think that we could necessarily become like them. And what this book does is it offers a direct account by each author to say they started in a similar place as me. So it's very much a possibility that we can all strive to continue to grow. And as you see in the chapters, which I do hope that you read and attain a copy of this book, it's important to have on your shelf, you will see that. And also to bring to mind the terrific effort that the women in our church have contributed, both those who are written about and those who are writing. So thank you for being here, and please continue to support the valuable work of St. Catherine's Vision and the scholarship. Thank you.
And the surprise guest of honor, Dr. Pastor.
I am honored, but I am deeply moved. There are a few things in my life that have truly moved me to the degree that I would say this did. This is one of them. There are two or three, and this is one of them. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really don't feel I've contributed anything other than to continue the association in the spirit of somebody we both loved and appreciated very much, the late Clara Nicholson. Most of you probably have never heard of her, and yet I see Tanya back there nodding, and she does remember her, and there are others who will. But she was very, very much involved in this dream, and she would be so proud where you have come today. I was just going through, and to the students who are here, I would urge you to go to the website. I must admit, I have not gone through it as often as I should, but I thought you might call upon me, and I said, what am I going to say? Let me go to the website. I couldn't believe what you've put together there, and I'm sure you've had professional help because it's just been done so exceptionally well. And that website speaks volumes of what has been accomplished by St. Catherine's Vision. I have learned, and I really feel like a learner and student being involved in St. Catherine's Vision. So again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for this great honor and for giving me the honor, I'm redundant, but the honor of being involved in a very minimal way. I'm also honored, to use the term once more, to have my name affixed to the names of so many of our respected hierarchs, Metropolitan Methodius, Metropolitan Maximus, Metropolitan Callistos, Metropolitan Seraphim of Zimbabwe, my former teacher, the late Professor Evangelos Theodorou, and my student, of whom I am so proud. And I'm speaking about the proposal that was just recently submitted, the proposal for, now you can say the correct title, the proposal for presenting a program.
Introductory parameters for consideration for the ordination of deaconesses.
Exactly. If it wasn't that long, I would have remembered it. But an exceptionally well-written proposal, and a goal that everything that St. Catherine's Vision is doing is focused on. And so I'm truly inspired to be involved in that. So God bless you, and thank you again.